Hi everyone, it's Fiona Edgar here. Welcome to my channel. I thought that I would take a little look at this coronavirus and the astrology behind it to see what's going on. So if you're new to my channel, please hit subscribe and share. Feel free to share this video. So the first thing that we need to remember about this coronavirus is that this is all happening during Mercury retrograde, okay? And this can make it very difficult to figure out the truth because people just aren't trusting the media anymore. I haven't trusted the media in a long time, but even like average people who aren't into astrology, they're not into conspiracy theories or anything like that, they are just realizing that you just can't trust it anymore because it's all to suit the agendas of different figures, different politicians, different parties. So this causes a couple of different problems. The first one is that people don't know what's happening. They don't know where this virus came from. They don't know what the reasons are behind it. Some people don't even know they don't even believe that a virus exists, and it's all about fear. So I don't want anyone to become too complacent here. I have heard firsthand from someone in Iran that there have been multiple deaths over there from this virus. So I don't think it's wise that we ignore this completely. The second thing is that we definitely shouldn't live our lives in fear. So all of this kicked off in December, late December 2019. The chart that I'm using here for this was when a doctor first communicated the virus to his students. He identified the virus and he started to communicate with the external world. So that's the date that I've used for this chart. So the first thing that we notice is that this has happened just before the Saturn and Pluto conjunction. So I did say, if you check back in my earlier videos, I think the one about Jupiter and Capricorn, I did say that something big is going to happen, that 2020 was going to be a year that all of us remembered. And I did say that the chart that we needed to, or the country that we needed to keep an eye on was China. Because China just recently went through its Jupiter return. I'll get to that in a second. I have China's chart up here as well. But anyways, okay, onto this virus. So the first thing that we see here is that we have, in the ninth house, we have Pisces, there's Neptune there, and the midheaven is in Pisces. So the midheaven in a chart, even an event chart like this, is how the rest of the world is seeing it. So with Pisces here, no one really knows what's going on. But also we see the threat of this virus spreading, because Pisces is a sign that doesn't have any boundaries, or it has very little boundaries. So that is reflected here. We also have Chiron on the midheaven. So this is all pretty serious stuff going on here. And then we have the sixth house planets which are focusing on health and the health issues. When the sun is in the sixth house, it's not really very comfortable. So this is all pretty telling here. So people are asking me, what do you think? Is it going to be another, disaster? Is everyone going to die? What should we do? Well, I think that the best thing that anyone can do in this situation is to be prepared. I do not think that we should just shrug our shoulders and not do anything to prepare ourselves for this or something like this. So whatever you need to do, and I'm not trying to make everyone scared and run around like headless chickens. I think that's the very last thing that we should do, because for one thing, stress and anxiety and fear lower your immune system. So they will reacting in that way will naturally lower your ability to fight off a virus, whether it's this one or some other one. So first of all, be prepared. Get some extra food supplies, cans of food, rice, dried food, water purifiers. If you are reliant upon medication, make sure you have extra supplies of that in your home and just have a plan. This is something that we should all be doing anyway. We should all be prepared for this because we've become very complacent in the modern world and we're just not prepared for any kind of disaster. I'm a type 1 diabetic, so personally, I'm making sure that I have a lot of insulin. We've all heard the stories about the diabetics during the Second World War who died because they ran out of insulin. So it's imperative that we have these supplies on hand. So just be prepared. Be prepared and just try not to live in fear. Try not to think that doomsday is coming. Just get on with your daily life. Wash your frigging hands. Oh my goodness. The amount of people that do not wash their hands, like they're responsible for spreading this stuff, okay? Or spreading any germs or viruses. And for people like me who already have a compromised immune system, it's really selfish. First of all, it's really selfish because just because it's not affecting you doesn't mean that other people aren't going to be affected. So please just take extra care, wash your hands. If you're coming into contact with immunocompromised people, then just take a little bit of extra care. And you should be doing that anyway. As part of being a decent human being, you should always be thinking of other people as much as you think of yourself. Okay, so back to the astrology. So the Mercury retrograde part of this is making things weird. No one knows what's going on. Pisces actually and Neptune are connected to viruses because viruses have no boundaries. They don't care if you don't want them to go and invade your body. They will go there anyway. So it's making us aware of boundary issues. Okay, how do boundary issues cause this kind of thing? On an energetic level, whatever you allow in your life, in your personal life, whatever you allow in to continue, if you have a lack of boundaries or you constantly allow people to push your boundaries, you're going to see this in the world. All of us collectively, we're causing these issues, okay? It's really hard to have boundaries now in this modern age. We have the likes of Facebook, Messenger, people thinking it's okay to message you all the time and then getting upset with you when you don't reply immediately. Basically, it's really, it's very unhealthy. So strengthen your own boundaries within your life. Be mindful of other people. Be mindful of their need to have peace in their lives, and don't get upset with anyone for not replying to your message immediately. Like, just be an adult, okay? A lot of people nowadays, they act like spoiled children because they didn't get any discipline when they were kids, and it's really a difficult thing for everyone else to deal with. So yes, when you live your life in this way and you have no boundaries, of course there are going to be boundary issues within the world. There are going to be these diseases that spread quickly. So just tighten up your own personal boundaries, your own energy. Don't let other people pressure you. And we will see, it's such a cliche, but you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. So I am hoping that when Mercury goes direct, which is on the 10th, the 9th and the 10th, depending on where you are in the world, that we will be getting some clarity on this and see really what it's at, where it's going, and what we need to do from then on. We do have the shadow period. It's about 2 weeks afterwards, but personally I think that it's only really going to mess things up for another week afterwards. So don't worry too much about that, but just for a week afterwards things can get super wonky because the energy of Mercury is stationing, and it just can feel like the retrograde is kind of hit all over again But just for about a week afterwards, it may be difficult. But then after that, we should be getting some clarity here. I hope so. And hopefully this does not last long. When I heard about this virus thing, the first thing that I did was I checked my lunar return for the end of April because I'm traveling then. My husband and I are going on holiday. And it looks like we're going on holiday. I have not seen anything in my personal transits by the end of April that suggests that I won't be going or that I'm going to be stuck at home or quarantined. So that's pretty hopeful. I feel quite hopeful about that. As I said, I have a serious immune disorder and I won't be going anywhere if people are dropping dead out there and the virus is really, really spreading. So hopefully this is going to blow over. Let's look at China. So the chart for China is showing some difficulties at the moment, some difficult transits. So first of all, we have Pluto conjunct Jupiter here. And Saturn is inching up to make a conjunction to the moon in Aquarius. So that does indicate that China is going to go through some big changes here and some difficulties. I heard, I don't know if this is true, okay? I'm not a scientist or a doctor. I am an astrologer. But I did hear that this virus was connected to some kind of live animal market in China. And I think that we really need to take a good look at how we are treating the animal kingdom and treating nature in general. This isn't a climate change. I'm not talking about climate change, okay? Yes, we should look after the environment and we should look after the animal kingdom and take care of them. So when we mistreat the animal kingdom, that the collective spirit of those animals, of Mother Nature, whatever it is that you choose to see it, it bites back. It really does bite back. And some of the things that we're doing to animals are just appalling. I'm not a vegan. I am a meat eater. But it's just really bad. And we treat them as objects on a conveyor belt. And it's so wrong. So this has to do with karma. There's a certain degree of karma coming into this, as is evidenced by these planets in Capricorn, because Saturn is the god of karma, the lord of karma, and all of this is, all this triple conjunction in Capricorn, this is karma. It's a karmic smackdown. So we need to be mindful of the fact that there are other beings on this planet who are trying to live. They have a right to be happy and to exist peacefully. And yes, we do eat animals, but why can't we treat them with kindness? And why can't they live their lives freely? Why do we still experiment on them? It's just horrible. Like, we cannot expect as the human race to survive if we continue to do this type of thing to the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. It's really, really bad. So Saturn is entering Aquarius on March. So briefly, there's going to be a brief dip into Aquarius from March to July. It will go retrograde and then it moves back into Capricorn, but then leaves again for good in December. So Saturn in Aquarius is really putting a restriction on our freedom, a restriction that within groups. It's going to force us to have tighter boundaries. It's going to force us to have tighter border control and get rid of this ridiculous notion that there should be no such thing as borders, okay? First of all, in terms of health, it's really stupid and a really bad idea to allow anyone willy-nilly just to come from somewhere halfway across the world into a Western country. They bring, and this isn't racism, this is fact, okay? So if anyone, I'm sure I'll get comments about this, but whatever. They're bringing diseases here, and we need to have border control to vet people before they're allowed to live in our country. So hopefully this actually is going to indicate that the borders do become tighter. That's definitely something that Saturn and Aquarius is going to, it's going to put limits and put the brakes upon this kind of free migration across the world, which is needed. Again, it's about boundaries. So yeah, Saturn's going to make a conjunction there to the moon. This virus is greatly going to affect China's economy because you know how many things are made in China. Literally everything is, and this is really going to limit that because they're not going to be exporting anything. There are going to be all of these rules and regulations. Countries are going to be making sure that the virus is gone before they start to trade freely. So maybe the lesson here is that for us, or for people that don't live in China, that we need to go back to making products ourselves, keeping our own economies alive, giving people that live in our countries jobs, and stop exporting them all to China. I'm not saying that I want China to fail or anything like that. I'm just saying that it would strengthen our economies if we brought all of this business and work back to our own countries. So that's definitely something to consider. So when Saturn enters Aquarius, it is going to put a limit on the freedoms. And don't forget that Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. So Uranus is currently in Taurus. That's massively shaking up our comfort zones. It's massively changing the way that we live our everyday life. So Taurus is stuck in its comfort zone. There's not going to be any such thing anymore as a comfort zone over like the next 7 years. We all have to change the way that we live and do things not just to suit ourselves, but to help other people around us and to help the animal kingdom and the environment. So I really hope that this doesn't turn into this massive, terrible thing with like millions of deaths around the world. Personally, I do think it's most likely going to blow over. Honestly, I do kind of feel that it's going to blow over in the next couple of months, and we should not live in fear, but just be prepared, because with Neptune transiting in Pisces, that's increasing the likelihood of these diseases and these viruses that have no boundaries. So we need to look at the way that we eat. Everyone's talking about vaccinations. Well, the fact is, there are viruses out there that are mutating beyond. They're mutating and surviving these vaccinations, so they're not frigging working, are they? So we need to come up with other plans, other ideas in what to do to combat these viruses. So many bacteria and fungi are becoming resistant to antibiotics. The age of antibiotics is coming to an end. We must prepare for that. Educate yourself. Look up herbal antibiotics and other things that you can do to strengthen your immune system, because I don't know about you, but I don't really trust the medical establishment anymore. Certainly they haven't really been that much help to me. Any improvements that I've ever experienced in my own health has been through natural medicine and my diet, and that's it. That's the truth of it. So I'm not saying that definitely not advising anyone not to get any medical treatment, but I'm just saying look into other options, because we're very reliant on antibiotics and other pharmaceutical meds, and the truth is that they're failing to work. So yeah, back to this coronavirus chart. So you can see that Chiron is on the midheaven here. This is causing a massive wound. There's also Uranus in the 10th house, so that's causing, well, obviously it's been a massive change with how China is seen throughout the rest of the world. So I hope that this does blow over, and I hope that you all continue to be well. Just don't panic, don't lose your heads. I did say that at the start of the year, when this Pluto and Saturn conjunction occurred, that there was going to be a lot of fear in the world. Fear is a very powerful tool that has been used against us. So just continue to do what you're doing, take precautions, look after yourselves, and try not to absorb all of that negative energy from the media, watching the news, because it's not doing you any good, is it? Really, it's just keeping you in fear. So I hope that helped, guys. Let me know how you're all doing. I hope you're all surviving the Mercury retrograde season. Not long to go. It's definitely been a tough one, this. It's been tough emotionally. It's been tough, there's so many things that are up in the air right now, both in terms of this virus, but in our personal lives as well. A lot of things just hanging there. But when Mercury retrograde is over, that's when things are going to push forward and we're going to see some results and some breakthroughs. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoy this and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.